This week on America's Outdoor Journal, we take you to the heart of the Frank Church Wilderness in Idaho to visit the Middle Fork of the Salmon River. Join me, Russ Cameron, and our guide, Brad Fry, owner and operator of Adventure Sun Valley. Brad will guide us down this fantastic 100-mile stretch of river. We'll experience fabulous whitewater, camping, and some great hikes. This is truly one of the most beautiful places on God's green earth, and you'll find it right here on America's Outdoor Journal.
America's Outdoor Journal. Brought to you by Guard Sports, Oshman's, and Sport Mart, where your next outdoor adventure begins.
Brad, thank you so much for inviting us down to the Middle Fork of the Salmon River. It's just a blast to be here. Now, do we always start out at the launch where you took out there?
Up until about the middle of summer, about the first two-thirds of the summer, we drive right to the put-in. We step off the bus, and your first 3-4 steps put you into the wilderness, and you don't see a road again until the end of the 6 days.
Not a bad ride, though. It's a pretty luxurious bus with air conditioning, and you're pretty dialed in this group.
Yeah, you know, we invested in that bus to really, you know, to make it comfortable for people. You know, it has the 31 seats and the full reclining, and it's a shame to go on a great wilderness trip and have to get in an old dusty school bus and rattle down the road, you know. So and it's going to provide transportation, make it easy for people. Just fly into Boise with their clothes, and you know, we can take care of everything from there.
Now, when we put in, I noticed it was mostly outfitters that were going in there. You said there was private parties, but
yeah,
can anybody go in right there, or is it just?
Well, you know, it's a question this time of year. We're right on the border of whether we can go from the beginning of the road, which is 25 miles higher, or to fly in. And it's been my experience that most of the private organizations like to go off the top. It's a little bit of a production to have all your gear be able to break down and to fly. We feel that it's a little bit better trip once the water gets low like that to fly in, so we can take more time and fish, take the time for the hikes and the waterfalls. Well, people are outside their element. People hire us because they're coming someplace that they don't have the ability to go themselves, typically. And we get a lot of type A personalities that are, you know, in a strong, fast business-paced world, and it takes about 2-3 days to relax. You know, without question, they always show up. They wonder, you know, is there going to be enough food? You know, are the guides going to be competent? After they see that they're in pretty good hands, you know, they start to relax, and it's a lot of fun to watch the tension come off their face.
Right.
I've seen everything from people deciding to check into rehab when they get off to you know, parents saying they've had the greatest conversation with their teenage kids that they've had in about 5-10 years. You know, when they finally got away from all the pressures of the real society. So, you know, that's kind of fun.
Seems like that first day you really broke the ice by having people just jump from the rocks into the water.
Yeah,
at lunch there where we pulled up.
Yeah, that's right. You know, they want to be active. They want to. They're very obviously and rightfully so. They're very safety concerned. So we show them that we're real serious about safety, but through experience, we're able to know where there's safe options of having some fun. And with the hot showers and everything every night, people can stay, you know, very comfortable. But they start to lose their ambitions, I guess you'd say, you know, after a couple days.
I noticed as we were drifting down the river that there was a big burn on the right-hand side.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know, it burned first in 1978 in what they call the Mortar Creek Fire.
Okay.
And it burned pretty hot and left some scars, but it burned again in 2000. I'm sure you remember in the news about the fires of 2000.
Oh, yeah, it was a mess.
The press pretty much said, you know, the entire West burned down. But what you can see is a lot of the country burned, and there's very few places that you could even tell it anymore. That in particular area burned a little hard, and it's going to take a few years to get back, but it's a natural part of the system. That actually requires fire to start the cycle. So the seeds need to be burned, the cones need to go through the heat of a fire to germinate and start growing again. So,
man, Brad, that's majestic. What is that coming up?
You know, that's Cub Creek Canyon right down there. It's kind of exciting because look how placid it is right now.
Right.
The river's running, about 1,500 cubic feet a second right now. In the springtime, it'll run about, during the snow water runoff during our first couple trips, it'll be running about 5 times that, and you can see by the high water mark how high it is. even though it's absolutely flat right now, it'll create waves about as tall as this boat in high water. Where the boat right in front of you, you'll just see it appear, then disappear and appear. It's a lot of fun. This river is really alive. It changes every week. Different water levels provide different opportunities. So in the earlier spring, for the adrenaline junkies, we come out here with wetsuits, and literally we could run the entire 100 miles of the river in a day. For most of the people, they like a combination of some good whitewater like we've been seeing on this trip, but you know, some of the more calm and the fishing's coming on.
You bet.
As the fall comes on, we get the people that are mostly interested in the fly fishing. Gets, you know, the Middle Fork is world famous for its fly fishing.
Hey Brad, I noticed when we were taking off that you have all kinds of boats out there, but I saw this one huge boat out there, and I was thinking, who rides that? And you said that's just for gear.
Yeah, that's right. We bought a new boat this year. It's a 22-foot custom-made and sweet boat. It's able to carry, by my best estimation, 4 times what our old gear boat carried, and that's what allows us to go ahead, set up camp, you know, have the showers, the wines chilled. It's allowed a lot of flexibility in how much gear we're able to take, it's been a lot of fun for people.
Well, those tubes are about 4 feet around.
They're 34-inch diameter tubes. It's 22 feet long. Those are 6-foot blades on about 18, 19-foot sweep arms out front.
Oh, and that's where you get the name for the boat, is sweep?
That's right. So you can stand up, so you can use your whole body to operate it. You know, you'd never have the physical strength in a sitting down position to be able to operate it. Wow, a tree just fell. You see that?
I heard it going, but is that a good sign or a bad sign, Brad?
I heard some popping going on.
So does that answer that question? What's that question about hearing a tree fall in the forest and all that?
Yeah, if you got a tree falling, who knows?
There you go.
Yeah, you know, that's...
So much for the sweet boat.
It's a living, live place out here. You never know quite what you're going to expect.
But he'll take off with that boat, and he'll go clear ahead of everybody.
That's right, that's right. You know, the biggest thing with that boat is getting it stopped.
Right.
Shoving that much momentum off, you kind of hope it's a camp when you get there. But Bill's done a great job for us.
You do great with your team, I've noticed.
I think we're pretty blessed with a fantastic group of guys. They're real hand-selected. There's a lot of people that want to work out here on the river. I get a lot of resumes a year from experienced guides. And, you know, it's important they know how to run a boat, and safety is our first concern. But you can train some of that, but you can't train personality. And every one of these individuals is just real polite, pleasant. You know, they enjoy the people.
Yeah, they go the extra mile for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what makes it fresh out here. The river's a beautiful place. It's hard to match, but every trip are different people. They come with expectations. They come with some fears and excitement. It's kind of fun to kind of play out the whole scenario with another group every week.
So you get to the site.
Yeah.
You walk out. You've got chairs set up. You've got all the tents are completely set up for everybody. You've got showers for people.
That's right.
I mean, it's amazing what you guys do.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It makes it real simple for people to enjoy themselves. Like I said, they're on vacation, so they just want to. There's a lot of book reading that gets done. A lot of conversations between husbands and wives. It's a nice time. Yeah.
Remember, products we use in the show are available at Guard Sports, Oshman's, and Sport Mart.
Day 2, we camped at Whitey Cox. Had the big swimming hole, and it has the hot springs, and it had the gravesite of Whitey where he was digging the trench and it fell in on him up there. It's kind of unique. It's a beautiful place. Almost every single group will get the opportunity to camp right at a hot springs or within walking distance of a camp springs.
They seem to love that. They get in that and then they jump in the cold water.
Absolutely.
And get back in
there. You know, it's kind of a neat thing to be able to jump in water that's bubbling right out of the ground. You know.
Right. You know, getting to camp was wonderful, and all the amenities that you have there. And one thing I really appreciated after that first day was the nice dinner. Is that pretty common on these trips?
Yeah, this menu is pretty standard. It's the same menu we do every week, which is it's a nice variety for all the guests. We hit kind of every edge.
Awesome. And the music? You guys have music like that?
Yeah, you know, we always have music on the trips. Like Rob does a lot of singing.
Right.
This particular trip, as you've noticed, we brought along some
pretty talented.
Some ringers. Yeah. It's an option we have on some of our trips, like the masseuse as well. We give people the option of chartering an entire trip, and if they we're limited by the number of people we can take on the river. So if they choose to limit their numbers, we for no charge will provide whatever extra staff they give us room for. So we can bring extra musicians, masseuses, wine experts, geologists, anything that's kind of their choosing.
The passage of fish or hydropower.
I enjoyed stopping again and having a nice lunch, and that place had some pictographs.
That's right.
And you say there's a lot of those along the river. Was this the biggest set that we're going to see, or there?
You know, no, that was one of the easier ones to get to for people that don't want to hike a lot. There's 5 or 6 or 7 different spots that I know of, but yeah, that's a place where they seem to winter a lot. A lot of the game would be down there along the river. So
you think the markings are because they're marking that the game was there?
Well,
or do they know what that's?
You know, that's I'm not exactly sure I know the answer to that. I know that just by being there a lot, there's probably more opportunity to have the time to do the painting, I guess.
Quite artistic, weren't they?
My interpretation of that, I'm not exactly sure. I could guess. You know, that first morning, just remember how pretty it was up there in Stanley with the sun rising out there at the Sawtooth Glaciers? I made kind of a comment to myself, just kind of under my breath, about how God's creation gives testimony of Him. And so I think a couple of those guests picked up on that. Didn't say anything at the time. So we're flying in over the mountains, and we hit that little air pocket right over top of those mountains, and the airplane kind of dropped a little bit, and she yelled at me, she goes, "Brad, you're religious, do something religious." So I took an offering.
Is that right? Oh, you are a good businessman, you know that?
Never miss an opportunity.
Yep. That's how you got to do it.
Remember, products we use in the show are available at Guard Sports, Oshman's, and Sport Mart.
You know, this is pretty smooth here. I noticed when we started out, there was a lot of rapids right out of the chute, and then kind of tapered off a little bit. I guess there's some bigger stuff coming.
One of the things that makes the Middle Fork so famous is the fact that it has variety from Class 1 to Class 4. So we get a lot of exciting, a lot of adrenaline going, but we also get stretches where it's pretty mellow like this, like Class 1. So we're able to put real novice people in the inflatable kayaks or the boats.
So a Class 1, I've never really understood what all the different levels are.
Class 1 is like it is right here. Void of obstacles, no real hazards. You know, there's nothing that you can really get caught on, or there's clear channels. Class 2 would be when you start to get a few whitewater, a few rocks in the channel, generally easy. Hey, look at this! There's some bighorn sheep just right on the
bank. They
right
call that.
Bank.
I know what that is. I don't know what Class 1, 2, 3, or 4 is, but I know what a bank is.
Look at the little lamb. You see it?
Oh, she's hot too. The little bitty one's real hot and tired.
Okay, sorry for the interruption.
That's okay. Those sheep are cool.
You never know when opportunity is going to rise.
Yeah, awesome.
Class 2 is where there's some obstacles in the river, possibly some whitewater, some hydraulics, but the channels are clear and minimum maneuvering is required. Now, Class 3 is getting where either there's some large hydraulics, strong currents, possibly large rocks. Some maneuvering is required. The consequences of not making a move are possibly flipping a boat or you know, pinning on a rockers, that sort. Now, Class 4, there's different things that can classify as a Class 4. It might be that it's a very tight channel, requires a lot of maneuvering. It might have extreme hydraulics, as you might see like in big water, like the Grand Canyon. It may have a possibility that's linked rapids, so that if you had problems on the upper end, you could have a pretty bad swim on the bottom end. There is no Class 5 on this river, and that's getting to the point where it's severe. I mean, that's hardcore. That's hardcore boating. Class 6 is like Niagara Falls. It's basically considered unrunnable.
So you wouldn't do that when I take it? I'm
Not
glad to know that I'm with the same person. When we started out, you were going through the safety issues that are involved with this. You did a good job of covering that with everybody, and you talked about these, what do they call the logs in the water?
Oh, strainers.
Strainers.
Right.
It seems scary.
Well, yeah, there's, you know, the most common thing that'll happen out here is someone might twist an ankle or something like that. But as far as serious safety concerns for us would be something like a strainer where a tree might fall into the river. There's a lot of current going through it. Something that would stop a boat or a swimmer but allow water to go through. And of course, as we just saw with the tree falling, you don't always know when those are going to happen. So even when we put somebody on a very generally easy piece of water, surprises can always pop up. So it's just real important to us that we explain to everyone that safety is a team concept and it requires their active participation.
I've noticed one of your teammates, Russell's down here, and he's on a unique craft, a paddle cat.
That's right. That's right. It's kind of a neat. That's a home design that we operate on the river. We're the only company, and it has absolutely revolutionized our business. You can see it's designed around pontoons. So what it does, it's extremely maneuverable. Because of the low front aspect ratio, it's able to charge large holes without getting stalled out.
Oh, okay.
And it's rigid. And so it offers a lot of things. Number one, we're able to go through holes that people wouldn't dream of doing in a regular boat, much less a paddle boat, because paddle boats without frames, they flex a lot and people get thrown all over. The second thing is by being a stern assist, the guide is able to have a lot of control. And if you get a good crew together, it's amazing what you can do with that.
Well, it seems like the crew has fun doing that too. There's more people on there.
Exactly. Even though it's a fairly large boat and a wide, stable platform, it provides a tremendous amount of excitement. The wave splashes up through the bottom and they really, really enjoy it. And as you can see, another thing about it is a paddle boat can't navigate downriver unless everybody is participating in it, because the guide has limited ability. But as you can see, when they get to a more relaxing stretch of water where they're not that enthused about paddling, it provides a pretty good platform for the guide just to let them kick back and ride.
I didn't think about that aspect.
See, another possibility about that boat is the feature that, let's say everybody wants to fish. You know, you get different groups with different interests. We can move a couple wrenches around, and in about 15 minutes we can whip that up into a pretty high performance fishing boat. So depending upon the desires of the group, we're really able to customize what it is they want to do. And you know, because every week's different.
Remember, products we use in the show are available at Guard Sports, Oshman's, and Sport Mart.
Join us next week for the second part of our trip with Brad and Adventure Sun Valley. You'll see some of the best whitewater of the trip, more wildlife, and more good times around the fire, all right here on America's Outdoor Journal.